Have you ever felt that the deeper you think, the more isolated you become? That the more you understand, the fewer people want to listen? It's not just in your head. Throughout history, society has often feared those who think too much, not because they are wrong, but because they see what others do not. From Socrates to Nietzsche, from Galileo to Tesla, brilliant minds have been ridiculed, silenced, or ignored. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because they made people uncomfortable. Schopenhauer, one of the most brutally honest philosophers, believed that intelligence is not just a gift, it is a curse that isolates those who see the world too clearly. But why does this happen? Why does society resist those who think differently? The answer lies deep within human psychology. Think about it. When you're near someone physically strong, you may admire their strength, but you don't necessarily feel attacked. When you see someone who is rich, you might envy them, but you don't feel personally diminished. But when you meet someone intellectually superior, something strange happens. Psychologists call this the mirror effect. A deep thinker doesn't just introduce new ideas. They reflect the limitations of those around them, and people don't forgive that easily. The very presence of someone who sees more clearly can make others feel inadequate, even if the thinker says nothing at all. But why? Why does intelligence, more than any other kind of superiority, provoke such discomfort? To understand this, we need to look at how our minds process different types of excellence. When someone is physically strong, we tend to view them as protectors, as leaders. When someone is wealthy, we may admire their success or aspire to have something similar. These traits, strength, wealth, beauty, are external. We can recognize them, even desire them, but they don't directly challenge our identity. But intelligence is different. It operates on a much deeper level. It challenges the very way we see the world and the way we see ourselves, our beliefs, our values, our assumptions. These are the foundations of our identity. When someone questions them, even silently, it can feel like a personal attack. That's why the thinker becomes the enemy. Not because they are dangerous, but because they are threatening to the fragile illusion that most people live in. And so society builds defenses. We label deep thinkers as arrogant, pessimistic, complicated. We tell them to stop overthinking, to just enjoy life, to be normal. But what we're really saying is, stop making me uncomfortable with your clarity. The trap of consciousness is this: the more you awaken, the more you see. The more you see, the harder it is to pretend. And the harder it is to pretend, the more alone you become. It's not that the world punishes intelligence. It punishes honesty. And when intelligence leads to honesty, the result is exile. Not always physical, but emotional, intellectual, spiritual. To think deeply is not just to see differently. It is to live differently. And that difference, that distance, is both a gift and a burden. So if you've ever felt alone because you think too much, know this: you are not broken, you are awake. And while awakening comes with pain, it also comes with power. Because in a world that fears, truth, seeing clearly, is the most revolutionary act there is. Have you ever reached a goal only to feel empty moments later? Have you ever achieved something you thought would change your life, but found yourself wondering, is this it? You're not alone. The feeling of dissatisfaction, even after getting what we want, is one of the deepest paradoxes of the human mind. We live in pursuit of success, love, recognition, peace, always believing that happiness lives just beyond the next achievement. But once we get there, the joy is short-lived. The excitement fades. A new void appears. And so we move on to the next goal, the next distraction, the next dream, never questioning the mechanism behind this endless chase. Why does this happen? The answer lies in something ancient, something wired into the way our brains evolved. In the early days of our species, survival depended on constant alertness. If you became too content, too at ease, you risked missing a predator lurking in the dark. Evolution favored those who were never quite satisfied, those who were always scanning, always striving. And so even in the modern world where threats are minimal and comfort surrounds us, our brain still operates on that old program. You're not safe yet. You haven't made it yet. Keep going. But now, instead of running from lions, we're running from silence, from boredom, from the feeling that maybe nothing out there will ever really be enough. This is the illusion of fulfillment, the lie that something external will finally complete us. But the truth? The truth is far more unsettling. We are conditioned to believe that the next thing, the next relationship, the next purchase, the next promotion will finally bring lasting happiness. But the structure of the mind was never built for permanence. It was built to want. Dopamine, the chemical of anticipation, is released not when you get the thing, but when you expect it. The chase is the high. The fantasy is the reward. And when reality arrives, it always feels smaller than we imagined. This is why so many people keep chasing and never stop to question why they're running in the first place. It's not a personal failure. It's a feature of the system. Social. Media, advertising, consumer culture, they all feed this loop. Every scroll, every like, every ad whispers the same lie. You're not enough, but you could be if you just had this. But here's the truth. No one tells you. There is no finish line, no final moment of arrival, no permanent feeling of completion. The mountain you're climbing keeps growing with every step. The moment you reach a new peak, another appears in the distance. The feeling of never enough isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that you're alive in a system designed to keep you hungry. But what if, just for a moment, you stopped chasing? What if fulfillment wasn't something to be found, but something to be noticed, something already present, hidden in the silence between desires? We've been taught to search for happiness in the extraordinary, in the fireworks, the milestones, the applause. But maybe it's in the ordinary, the breath, the stillness, the quiet presence of now. Satisfaction doesn't come from getting everything. It comes from realizing you don't need everything. But this realization requires something rare in today's world: stillness, awareness, the courage to sit with the discomfort of not knowing, not having, not distracting. It's in that space, the space we usually run from, that something deeper can emerge. Not the fleeting pleasure of a new achievement, but the quiet peace of self-acceptance. Not the thrill of conquest, but the serenity of enough. The illusion will always return. That's how the mind works. But now you know the trick, and every time you recognize the pattern, you weaken its grip. So the next time you feel that familiar emptiness, don't panic, don't run, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what if nothing is missing? Because maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to be filled by the world. Maybe you were meant to wake up within it. Consciousness, a gift or a burden? Most people live their lives on autopilot. They wake up, go to work, scroll through their phones and repeat. They chase dreams that aren't theirs. They follow routines they never questioned. And they call this normal. But for those who become conscious, this so-called normal begins to feel strange. You start to notice things others ignore. You see through the noise, the illusions, the distractions. And once you start seeing, truly seeing, there's no going back. This awareness can be beautiful. It can bring depth, clarity, presence, but it also brings pain. Because to be conscious is to feel everything more intensely. It's to be aware of suffering, your own and the world's. It's to notice the lies people live by, the masks they wear, the emptiness in their eyes. And sometimes it's to realize that you too wore those masks once. Becoming conscious is like waking up in a room full of sleeping people. At first, you want to shake them, to share what you've seen, but they're not ready. And many don't want to be, because comfort often lives in unawareness. And that's the first burden, loneliness. The second burden is overwhelm. When you're aware, you see the complexity of everything. You notice the consequences of your actions. You question your every move. You realize how much pain exists behind the smiles, how much noise hides behind silence. It's easier, much easier, not to know. To be blind is to be free from responsibility, but to be aware is to carry the weight of understanding. This is why many conscious people become withdrawn, why they spend so much time alone, why they often seem distant or disconnected. It's not because they don't care, it's because they care too much. And they don't know what to do with all that feeling. There's no easy way to explain what it's like to wake up in a world that wants you asleep. There's no manual for how to live with eyes wide open while others keep theirs shut. And so, awareness becomes a silent struggle, a war within yourself. Do you speak the truth knowing it might alienate you? Or do you play along just to belong? That's the paradox of consciousness. It gives you vision, but robs you of comfort. But here's the thing, you are not alone. There are others, quietly observing, quietly questioning, quietly transforming. They may not shout, they may not post, but they're out there, walking the same invisible path. And while awareness is heavy, it is also holy. Because in the silence of understanding, something powerful begins to bloom. Compassion. Not the kind that pities, but the kind that sees clearly and still chooses to love. The kind that forgives the sleepers, even when they mock you. The kind that sees the world not as broken, but as awakening, slowly, painfully, beautifully. To be conscious is not to escape the world. It's to live in it with your eyes open, even when it hurts. It's to embrace the loneliness, the overwhelm, the questions, not as punishments, but as signs that you are alive in the deepest sense. So if awareness feels like a burden right now, know this: it will also become your strength, because while most are running from themselves, you're walking toward the truth. And that is the beginning of real freedom.